Hello, this is Liran Hirschkorn with Mansoor Narazi from Incrementum Digital, and we want to have another video here where we talk to you about some of the updates that we've seen recently with Amazon that you might want to know about. And we want to kind of break down, Amazon has updates all the time. We want to take some of the more important things that we've seen over the last few weeks and share those with you so you're informed. So with that, thanks, Mansoor, for joining, and let's share the screen and talk about some of the new updates from Amazon.
Great, let's get started. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, starting with first date, which was released a few days ago. Not everyone has access, but there's a new A+ content section. It is called complementary product sets. So you can create a section and show your complementary product. Amazon is saying that this is gonna show up, display probably somewhere next to frequently bought together. So if I go to Amazon, probably it's going to show up somewhere around this section, above, below. We don't know yet exactly. And yes, that's the new addition. I haven't seen anyone running it yet. You might have not access. I was checking few clients. I didn't see them having access yet.
Right. So it's probably something that's rolling out, but essentially you can create complementary product sets. One thing I've seen too recently, and it's gotten a little bit of controversy, is in the frequently bought together. I've seen Amazon make those sponsored, which is which is
Right.
interesting. But it seems like they're going to test whatever you add here as a potential change to maybe frequently bought together, because what it's saying is that content will compete to be displayed in a new section where other bundle type products are shown, like frequently bought together, or maybe virtual bundles or something else. So they're maybe giving you a little bit of more control over what displays here. So you may want, if you have access or look out for this in your A+, you might want to test this out. Okay, let's go to
Great.
the next
Next
step.
update is podcast ads. Now we could run podcast ads through Amazon DSP. And the kind of resources that we have to run is Amazon Music, Wondery, Art19, whoever is partnering with them. Some of the examples that I was seeing and I liked from Wondery was How I Built This. This is my favorite. I listened to it. Business Wars is really great. Ryan Holiday's podcast. And just to give you more clarity on what are the criterias, it says up to 90-second ad spots in links that run before, during, after ad breaks. Any duration between is acceptable. So it should be less than 90 seconds. It is being dynamically inserted into ad breaks across ad-supported supply. It means it's not guaranteed. You are bidding and you might get the spot or you might not. Run across ad-supported content on Alexa-enabled smart speakers, desktop, mobile, and tablet. And as I mentioned, here are some of the premium podcasts that you could, for the supply, your ad can be shown. I think it is great because I listen to podcasts, and we know that podcast listeners are rising in terms of the how many people are listening to that. And actually, here, this is some data from Wondering. 24 million monthly users listening to the podcast, 175 million globally, and it's number two in terms of
Podcast publishers.
yes.
Yeah, and you have, what I like about podcasts is that first of all, you can get kind of targeted, right? Like the audience for Smartless, which I think is like a comedy type show. I see it as one of the top most downloaded podcasts. So it has a big audience and probably a very broad audience, and it's comedy based. Is going to be very different than Business Wars, right? That may be somebody who's more entrepreneurial, business, it's interesting, or 10% Happier, How I Built This. Also, some of the demographics, this is just off the top of my head, but if I had to guess, somebody who listens to something like 10% Happier or How I Built This is probably on average a higher income demographic. So certain or higher education, higher income, certain podcasts audiences or certain audiences you want to reach, you could probably do so in a much more targeted way through podcast advertising, or the demographic of somebody who listens to a history podcast, right, might be very different. Also, and you can reach, with if you have a specific product that may make sense for the audience that listens. So now it can be tested easily and at scale with programmatic advertising, which is something that's hard to do. Otherwise, typically you have to reach out to a particular podcast. You want to know about advertising, the cost, commitment, etc. And here you could do it programmatically. So it just makes things a lot easier to test out what's working in terms of podcast advertising.
Amazon also mentioned in the presentation in that they would help you with the creative, right? That audio that you want to write, they would help you with that as well.
Yeah, the downside is obviously there's no click, but you would need to send them to a link essentially in the particular copy, right, of the audio copy, and then you can also give a link with a UTM, or you can give a link that maybe has some tracking if you're sending them outside of Amazon. If you're sending them to Amazon, then through programmatic ads and AMC, you will understand who may be listening to this, and
Right. We are not
track,
sure yet if Amazon gives data in AMC yet. We could
right.
actually
And it probably also depends if if they're listening on Alexa, or maybe they're listening on in another way in terms of tracking. But this is definitely a brand
right.
awareness and kind of play.
And
Uh,
I don't know about you, Liran, but when I think about podcast advertisers, the first brand that comes to my mind is AG1. In any podcast I'm listening, they have
yeah,
an ad running with big players
yeah,
in podcasts. So,
yeah,
and I think
and
most of their growth just comes from this being in different podcasts.
yeah, a lot of brand awareness advertising, influencers, brand awareness advertising that they've done a good job of putting out there.
Right. So this is another update, auto campaign harvesting, which not that much useful to you or even us because we are already using search terms, but Amazon made it easy. They have added a button here called add a targets to existing ad groups. So you can filter out the search terms based on the filters that they are. And also you can save filters. Amazon has added this feature. And these search terms that are performing, you can directly add those search terms from here to any that ad group that you want. It's some data. It's a good feature for some. It's what we love. And when Amazon comes up with this innovations, and let's see
Yeah,
what else they could add.
yeah, they're making it easier to manage,
Mm,
some
Seller
things,
Central.
within the ad console. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, well,
Next one is this is not a new update. We all know that Amazon now is showing estimated sales for listings, but what we notice, and it is interesting, is if you look at different variations, Amazon shows the estimated sales for different variations. For this, in this example, for one variation, which is king, it shows plus 1K sold. The second variation, queen, plus 3K sold. Why this is good? First of all, I remember for product research, right? You want to see which variation is doing the best for your competitors. Easily, you can now go through Amazon without any third-party tools, understand which variation is doing the best. Even in terms of advertising for competitors, we can see what is happening for our competitors, where they are getting most of their sales, which is good with targeting. And I'll see this very actually most impactful for sellers to understand what's happening with their competitors, and when they want to add a variation, they get ideas for variation. We just checked this with Liron before recording, before we start recording. The number is pretty accurate, but accurate in terms of if you are less than 1K in terms of sales, it is accurate. It shows 100 sales, 200, 300 sales. It shows the past 30 days, right? Past months. So it is very, very good and close enough. But when the numbers go more than 1K, so it goes in the incremental of 1K, 2K, 3K. So the brand could sell 1100, could sell 1900 for that variation. But in my opinion, it is a very great estimation and giving you that directional conclusion that
yeah.
you need. On what you think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing product research, right, typically you see the sales for the entire listing. You don't really know what it is for variations. You could try to look at reviews and Now we have ratings, so you don't necessarily see what the reviews are for, and it doesn't always mention the variation in the reviews, so it can be a little tricky. The tools we know estimate based on, the entire listing. They don't know really which product is the one getting sales, and this is very accurate. And like Mansoor said, if it's under 1,000, then the potential difference is within 100 units. So if it shows 100 plus, it may be 199, for example, or maybe 101. And once it starts to show 1,000 plus, then you could be, like Mansoor said, 1,100 or 1,900. But as long as you know that range, then you have a good understanding of how it works. It's pretty accurate in terms of the sales that you're showing. I hope Amazon keeps this, and that there will be some tools that, maybe Helium or Jungle Scout create that will actually allow us to have more accurate, like revenue snapshots when we're looking at a listing. But this is kind of the manual and more accurate way to understand sales.
Yeah.
Uh, let's talk about this sponsored brand match types for sponsored brand ads.
We knew this before for sponsored brands, that the exact and phrase are not as usual, like no, they have been changed. But recently we noticed that Amazon has added this definition also in their document. So we are 100% sure that Amazon also knows this and they are adding it. What is the difference now? For sponsored brands, not the sponsored product, for sponsored brands, for exact and phrase, actually, if I can, in sponsored brands campaigns, this match type, it's talking about exact match, allows advertisers to show their ads on searches that have the same meaning or same intent as their keyword. For example, if an advertiser has an exact keyword of outside lights and a customer queries outdoor lights, an exact match can get triggered. So it means it's looking at the synonyms for the words as well. It is not as exact as we expect. And the solution for this would be to use this broad multiplier with plus, putting plus before the phrase before the word that you want to make sure it is included in your keyword, to make sure that Amazon doesn't go trigger for other synonyms.
Yeah, and yeah, like Mansoor said, we put the plus sign to kind of get around. This is something we've known, and Amazon, has put out more language around it to kind of validate what we've known around sponsored brand ads. So I'm just sharing it with you.
We have new metrics on stores, which are three new metrics: average dwell time, average bounce rate, and new to store visitors. So average dwell time is average time a visitor spend engage with the store or page, so how long they are staying in your page. Bounce rate is percentage of visitors that arrived to the store but left without interacting with it. So they come to your store, they don't click and they don't do anything, they just bounce back. And finally, new to store visitors, logged in first time visitors in the last 12 months. These are being added, they have been added into your store.
Yeah, so this is great because, as if you're working on optimizing your store, you can really see, okay, did this change that we made, or how can we improve the store in order to increase this, average dwell time? And then, yeah, it's nice that you're able to kind of chart it out over time and see the impact of your changes and how it's affecting the dwell time or the engagement also with your
And yeah,
store
even the
and the
bounce
bounce.
rate, right? If the
Yeah,
bounce rate is high, like why the customers are just bouncing? What is the
right.
reason? Maybe something needs
Yeah,
to get optimized with this
yeah,
store.
and I think there's always going to be a set of customers that maybe clicked on your link from the listing by mistake or something. You're always going to have a certain bounce rate, but working on improving that and the dwell time, I think over time would be good. Also, I think the more of a robust catalog you have, an engaging homepage or engaging pages, then obviously people should stay longer versus if you just have a single product, maybe the expectation is they'll spend less time in general. But these are additional good metrics, and really encourage you to try to see how you can improve storefront. If you look at some great brands like Lego, for example, great example of really their storefront kind of looks like a website. And I think that's what Amazon is kind of moving towards. And it's still the only place on Amazon without competitor ads. So it's a good place to focus on and to drive traffic to from sponsored brand ads. And we can also be very deliberate about that with sponsored brand spotlight ads, which for certain more maybe broad searches, we can send traffic directly, force the traffic to go to the store.
All right.
Okay, let's go to category insights.
And next there is a new addition to category insight, search performance and most popular keywords. So if you go to the category insight, which is a very, very great tool, I love it. You see this section which shows your search performance, or you can choose different time periods. You see the search performance and number of the clicks, plus the most popular keywords and the search volume for those keywords in the selected time period.
Yep. And this is basically for this particular item type keyword, which is window curtain panels. And
Yes.
so you can understand what's happening in the market, which helps you, this helps us for sure understand. We want to try to see what's happening in the market because we want to understand if our clients are up or our clients are down, then, is it a function of the market, is a function of taking market share, losing market share, what's happening. And this is very helpful. And then showing the keywords here is also very helpful. They also show in Product Opportunity Explorer, but having it here together is really good to see the movement on both search volume and click count.
And actually, something interesting that we are seeing here, and I'll have a post about this. I actually posted something, but I have to expand on this, is this fluctuation, 30 days. Like the peaks and these lows are so drastic that we gotta figure out something about how we have to handle our budget to make sure that in the days that the sales are drastically high, we are getting enough market share. In the days that the sales going down, we bring our spend down to avoid that high tacos, right? Because otherwise, if you have the fixed and consistent budget over the week, you are kind of either you are losing or you are spending too much, and it's going to bring that inconsistent in your tacos.
So Mansoor, is this like a screenshot from around like March 13th or something? Because we're looking, because the bottom here is like it's going 2, 5, 8, 11.
No,
And
it is from for 30 days. So this is March 16, 19, 22. Actually, no, it is from February to
February to
March.
March, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So also this can help you kind of figure out the days of the week, right? Like in terms of like day parting, when are those days that there are more sales? Obviously, looking at your own data is going to be maybe more helpful, but it can help you also see in the niche itself what are, the best days if this is days, or maybe there's a holiday or something also, right? You have to understand that particular
Right.
month and what's happening.
Yeah, but in this case, it seems like it is consistent. We have
Right.
all these fluctuations.
Right.
And the last update is very interesting, boost post. Now, Amazon releases feature that you can boost and advertise the posts that you have. The only thing that you need to consider, some of your posts, if you get there, they might be unavailable, ineligible to be boosted, because Amazon mentions that at least you should have tagged 3 products for every boost to be able to, for every post to be able to boost it. We are trying to get a case study on that. We don't have it yet. As soon as we get one, we will post in the channel so you guys can see what are the results from this. But it's a very interesting, I guess, new feature there on.
Yeah. And I mean, the posts generally should be lifestyle type ads, which should make for good images for sponsored brand ads. So it's definitely worth testing out. But like Mansoor said, you have to tag at least 3 products within the post. So great. This is just some quick updates from the last month. We hope to continue to bring this to you monthly. And thanks for staying tuned. And hopefully you can take away some steps here to implement based on some of the updates. Thanks for
Thank you.
watching, and we'll see you on the next update.